A stranger in classroom for BTHE construction paper snowflakes were crooked. The glitter situation was out of control. And 23 5-year-olds were singing Jingle Bells at volumes that could shatter glass. Just another Tuesday afternoon in Jenna Morrison's kindergarten classroom at Lincoln Elementary on Chicago's South Side. Miss Morrison. Tommy ate the paste again. Little Amara shouted, pointing at her classmate, whose guilty expression was enhanced by white residue around his mouth. Jenna sighed, crossing the room with practiced efficiency. 7 years of teaching kindergarten had prepared her for paste eating. Crane-up nose incidents, and the occasional existential crisis from a child who just discovered their shoes were on the wrong feet. What it hadn't prepared her for was the man now standing in her doorway. He wore a charcoal suit that probably cost more than her annual salary, had dark blonde hair styled with careless perfection, and possessed the kind of angular features that belonged on magazine covers. He was completely out of place among the finger paintings and alphabet posters, looking like a panther that had wandered into a petting zoo. "Can I help you?" Jenna asked, gently wiping Tommy's face while keeping one eye on the stranger. Her teacher instincts were on high alert. The front office always called before sending visitors to classrooms. Jenna Morrison. His voice was deep, with an edge of urgency that seemed at odds with his composed appearance. "And you are?" She positioned herself slightly in front of her students, protective instinct kicking in. "Cameron Blackwell." He said it like she should recognize the name. When her expression remained blank, something flickered across his face. Surprise, maybe relief. "May I speak with you privately?" "I have a classroom full of children, Mr. Blackwell. Whatever you're selling, I'm not interested." Jenna turned back to her students, who were now deeply invested in this unexpected entertainment. "Okay, friends, let's clean up our art stations. 5 minutes until story time. Not selling anything. I'm offering you a job." He stepped further into the room, and Jenna noticed the principal, Mrs. Reynolds, hovering anxiously in the hallway behind him. 1 month. All expenses paid. $50,000. The room went silent. Even the 5-year-old sensed something important was happening. Jenna crossed her arms. "Mr. Blackwell, I don't know what kind of job you think a kindergarten teacher is qualified for, but I can assure you I'm not interested in whatever this is." The proposal, the bell rang, saving her from further conversation. Parents began arriving, and Jenna shepherded her students out with practiced efficiency, giving each child a high five and a personalized compliment. Tommy got praise for his painting skills, despite the paste incident. Amara received acknowledgement for her kindness. Each child left smiling, waving goodbye to Miss Morrison. Their favorite teacher, Cameron Blackwell, waded through it all, leaning against the wall with surprising patience, occasionally glancing at his phone, but never actually taking it out. When the last parent collected their child, and only Jenna remained in the now quiet classroom, he finally spoke again, and that was impressive. "You knew something specific about each child. It's called caring about your students, Mr. Blackwell. Now, what is this really about? And how did you get past security?" Jenna began straightening desks, a routine she found calming after the chaos of the school day. "I made a substantial donation to your school. Mrs. Reynolds was happy to facilitate a meeting." He moved closer, his expression serious. "My grandmother is dying. Stage 4, pancreatic cancer. The doctors give her 3 months, maybe 4. Jenna's irritation softened into sympathy. "I'm very sorry to hear that, but I still don't understand what this has to do with me." Her final wish is to spend her remaining time at our family's private resort in the Maldives. She wants to be surrounded by joy, by children's laughter, by the kind of innocent happiness she says she missed during her life. Cameron pulled out his phone, showing Jenna a photo of an elegant woman with silver hair and kind eyes. "She saw you on the news 3 months ago. Do you remember the incident with the bus?" Jenna's stomach dropped. She remembered. A school bus had lost control during a field trip. She'd been on that bus with her class, and when the driver had a heart attack, she'd somehow managed to stop the vehicle, keep 20 children calm, and direct other teachers in providing first aid. The local news had called her a hero. She'd called it terrifying. "That was just doing what anyone would have done," Jenna said quietly. "Anyone didn't do it." "You did." Cameron's blue eyes were intense. My grandmother, Beatrice Blackwell, watched that news segment 5 times. She said you had something special. A light, she called it. The ability to bring calm to chaos, to make people feel safe and valued. Your grandmother wants to hire me because of a news story? Jenna sat down on one of the small kindergarten chairs, suddenly needing support. She wants you to come to the Maldives for 1 month. To be there with your joy, your energy, your gift for making people feel seen. Cameron remained standing, towering over the child-sized furniture. She knows she's dying, and she wants her last month to be filled with the kind of warmth you naturally create. The impossible decision, Jenna stared at him, trying to process the surreal conversation. Mr. Blackwell, I have a job here. 23 children who depend on me. A substitute teacher can't just step in for a month during the middle of the school year. I've already arranged for the district's best substitute to cover your class. Full salary continuation for you, plus the $50,000. Your principal has approved a month's leave, calling it a personal development opportunity. He paused. I've also arranged for a $10,000 donation to be made to Lincoln Elementary's arts program. Regardless of your decision, you can't just buy your way through people's lives, Jenna said, but her voice lacked conviction. $10,000 would transform their struggling arts program. $50,000 would pay off her student loans, help her mother with medical bills, and maybe even allow her to finally fix the leak in her apartment that her landlord kept ignoring. I'm not buying anything. I'm offering a fair exchange. 1 month of your time for compensation that reflects the value of what you're providing. Cameron finally sat down, choosing a chair across from her, looking absurd, folded into the tiny seat. My grandmother is the kindest person I've ever known. She spent her life making everyone else happy, putting family and duty first. This is the first thing she's ever asked for herself. Jenna looked around her classroom. The alphabet border she'd hung herself. The reading corner she'd furnished with garage sale finds and her own money. The photos of her students, each face precious and unique. This room was her world. These children, her purpose. Why me? There are child psychologists, professional caregivers, people trained for this kind of thing. She doesn't want a professional. She wants you. Specifically you. Cameron leaned forward, elbows on his knees. I've spent the last 3 weeks trying to talk her out of this, trying to find alternatives. But when Beatrice Blackwell makes up her mind, God himself couldn't change it. I need time to think. You have 5 minutes. Jenna's head snapped up. Excuse me? My grandmother said, if you need more than 5 minutes to decide, then you're overthinking it. The heart knows immediately. The head just gets in the way. Cameron checked his watch. 5 minutes. Starting now. That's insane. Jenna stood, pacing between the desks. You can't give someone 5 minutes to make a life-changing decision. 4 minutes, 30 seconds. A text from her mother. Honey, the hospital called about the bill. Don't worry, we'll figure it out. Below that, her credit card company warning about a missed payment. Jenna thought about her students, who would barely notice a substitute teacher if they knew Miss Morrison was coming back. She thought about her mother, working 2 jobs at 63 because her medical bills never ended. She thought about her tiny apartment, her aging car, her life of noble poverty that felt increasingly like a trap. She thought about a dying woman who'd watched a news story and seen something worth valuing. 3 minutes. Cameron said quietly, if I say yes, what exactly would I be doing? The words came out before Jenna could stop them, and she knew she'd already decided. Being yourself. Talking with my grandmother. Maybe reading to her, taking walks if she's up for it, just being present. She wants to know about your students, your life, why you became a teacher. She wants to experience joy through your stories. Its expression softened. She's not looking for a caregiver. She has nurses for that. She's looking for light in her final days. 2 minutes. Jenna closed her eyes. She saw herself continuing as she always had, responsible, practical, safe. Then she saw herself taking a leap, trusting that sometimes the heart knows things the head hasn't figured out yet. 1 minute, I've conditions, Jenna heard herself say. I video call my students twice a week. I review the substitutes' lesson plans. And if your grandmother wants me to leave at any point, I leave immediately. No questions asked. Cameron stood, pulling out his phone. Done. All of it. Do we have an agreement? Jenna extended her hand. 1 month. For your grandmother. His handshake was firm, warm, and when he smiled for the first time, it transformed his entire face from intimidating to almost human. The car will pick you up Friday at 4 a.m. Pack for tropical weather and bring comfortable clothes. Beatrice hates formality. He headed for the door, then paused. Miss Morrison, thank you. You have no idea what this means to her. After he left, Jenna sank into her desk chair, staring at the classroom that suddenly felt both familiar and distant. Her phone showed 3 missed calls from Mrs. Reynolds. 2 texts from her best friend demanding details about the hot stranger. And a new email with flight information for a private jet to the Maldives in 5 minutes. Jenna Morrison had made a decision that would change everything. She just didn't know how much. Outside, Cameron sat in his car, texting his grandmother. She said yes. Response came immediately. I knew she would. The good ones always do. Now comes the hard part, darling. Don't fall in love with her. Cameron stared at the message. Thinking about warm brown eyes and a woman who knew each child's specific painting technique, he was absolutely going to fall in love with her. Paradise with secrets the Maldives existed in a different reality. Jenna had seen photos, watched travel documentaries, scrolled through Instagram posts that seemed too beautiful to be real. None of it prepared her for the actual experience of stepping off a private seaplane onto a dock that stretched toward water so blue it looked. Photoshopped, the Blackwell family resort occupied an entire private island. White sand beaches circled crystalline lagoons. Palm trees swayed in breezes that smelled like salt and flowers. Overwater bungalows connected by wooden walkways, each one a masterpiece of luxury and privacy. The main house rose from the island's center, all glass and natural wood, designed to blur the line between indoors and nature. Welcome to Serenity Cove. Cameron appeared at her elbow, seeming more relaxed in linen pants and a casual shirt than he had in his Chicago suit. My grandmother is resting, but she's eager to meet you at dinner. Your bungalow is the 3rd one on the east side. Best sunrise views on the island. Jenna followed a staff member down the walkway, her single suitcase feeling pathetically inadequate. The bungalow was larger than her entire apartment. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the ocean. The bathroom had a tub that could fit for people. The closet contained clothes in her exact size, from casual sundresses to elegant evening wear, all with tags still attached. A note sat on the pillow. Written in shaky but elegant handwriting, Dear Jenna, thank you for coming. Please make yourself at home. Wear whatever makes you comfortable. Tonight at 7, if you're not too tired. With gratitude, Beatrice. Jenna sat on the bed, which was so soft she nearly disappeared into it, and let reality crash over her. 4 days ago, she'd been teaching kindergartners about snowflakes and managing paste emergencies. Now she was in the Maldives in a private resort, about to have dinner with a dying billionaire who'd seen something special in a news story. Her phone buzzed. Video call from her classroom. She answered immediately, grinning as 23 excited faces crowded the screen. Ms. Morrison, are you really on an island? Tommy shouted, his face taking up most of the frame. I really am. And I miss you all so much already. Jenna spent 20 minutes hearing about their day. Their substitute teacher, who was nice, but not as fun. And Amara's important news about losing a tooth. After the call ended, Jenna felt steadier. This was why she was here. To bring this kind of joy and connection to someone's final days. Meeting. Beatrice Diener was served on a terrace overlooking the ocean, sunset painting everything in shades of gold and pink. Cameron was already there, along with a small woman in a wheelchair who radiated presence despite her obvious frailty. Beatrice. Blackwell had silver hair styled in a soft bob, bright eyes that missed nothing, and a smile that transformed her entire face. She wore a simple blue dress and pearl earrings, looking elegant without trying. Jenna Morrison. Beatrice's voice was surprisingly strong. You're even lovelier than I imagined. Come, sit beside me. I want to hear everything. Jenna sat, immediately comfortable in a way that surprised her. Mrs. Blackwell, thank you so much for inviting me. Your island is breathtaking. Call me Beatrice, please. Mrs. Blackwell makes me feel ancient. She patted Jenna's hand with paper-thin fingers. Tell me about your students. Start with the paste-eater. Cameron mentioned him. For the next hour, Jenna talked. She described Tommy's artistic soul trapped in a body that couldn't sit still. Amara's fierce protectiveness of younger children. The twins who communicated in their own language. Beatrice listened to every word, asking questions, laughing at the funny stories, tearing up at the touching moments. Cameron mostly stayed quiet, watching his grandmother come alive in a way he clearly hadn't seen in months. You love them, Beatrice said finally. All of them, even the challenging ones. Especially the challenging ones. They're 5 years old, Jenna said simply. Every single one deserves to feel valued and safe. If I can give them that for one school year, maybe they'll carry it forward. This is why I needed you here. Beatrice's eyes were bright with emotion. You understand something most people spend their whole lives missing. That love isn't a limited resource. That giving it away makes more of it. Over the next week, Jenna settled into an unexpected routine. Mornings were hers to explore the island, swim in water that felt like silk, video call her classroom. Afternoons she spent with Beatrice, reading aloud, sharing stories, sometimes just sitting in comfortable silence while the older woman dozed. Beatrice wanted to hear everything. Jenna's childhood in Chicago, her mother's strength, the moment she decided to become a teacher. In return, Beatrice shared her own stories. A life spent supporting her husband's business empire. Raising Cameron after his parents died in a sailing accident. The quiet regret of dreams deferred for duty. I never learned to paint, Beatrice said one afternoon, watching Jenna sketch the view. Always wanted to. Always thought there would be time later. It's not too late, Jenna said impulsively. We could try tomorrow. Watercolors are forgiving. Joy on Beatrice's face was worth any awkwardness. Of teaching painting to someone who'd never held a brush. The real reason, Cameron remained mostly absent those first 10 days. Appearing for dinners but otherwise buried in work. Jenna caught glimpses of him on phone calls, pacing the beach, tension in every line of his body. He's afraid, Beatrice said one evening when Jenna mentioned his absence, of loving people because they leave. His parents, then his grandfather. Now me, she smiled sadly. I'm hoping you might help him remember that love is worth the grief it costs. Beatrice, I'm here for you, not him. But even as Jenna said it, she knew it was becoming complicated. Cameron appeared at odd moments, bringing her coffee on the terrace, making sure she had everything she needed. Their conversations were brief, but increasingly personal. On day 12, everything changed. Jenna woke to urgent voices. She threw on clothes and ran to the main house, finding medical staff surrounding Beatrice's room. Cameron stood in the hallway, face pale. What happened? Jenna grabbed his arm. She collapsed. They're stabilizing her now. His voice was carefully controlled, but his hands shook. The doctor says it's progressing faster than expected. Weeks, maybe not months. Without thinking, Jenna pulled him into a hug. He stood rigid for a moment. Then his arms came around her, holding on like she was the only solid thing in a dissolving world. I'm not ready, he whispered into her hair. I'll never be ready. No one ever is. But she's still here now. That's what matters. The doctor emerged an hour later. Beatrice was stable but weak. She was asking for Jenna. The bedroom was all soft light and ocean sounds. Beatrice looked impossibly small in the large bed, but her eyes were alert. There you are. She reached for Jenna's hand. I need to tell you something. The real reason I brought you here. You don't have to explain anything. I'm happy to be here, I lied. Beatrice's grip tightened. It wasn't just about your light or your gift with children. It was about Cameron. Jenna's heart skipped. I don't understand. My grandson is brilliant, successful, and completely alone. He's built walls so high, no one can reach him. Beatrice's eyes were fierce despite her weakness. When I saw you on that news segment, I didn't just see someone who could comfort a dying old woman. I saw someone who could save my grandson from a life of isolation. Beatrice, you can't matchmake someone into falling in love. But Jenna's protest sounded weak even to her own ears. I'm not matchmaking. I'm providing an opportunity. Beatrice smiled. What happens next is up to you both. But Jenna, I've watched you together these past weeks. The way he looks at you when you're not watching. The way you soften when he enters a room. Something is growing here. Even if that's true, I live in Chicago teaching kindergarten. He runs a tech empire. Our worlds don't overlap. Love makes its own world. Beatrice closed her eyes, exhausted. Promise me you'll give it a chance. After I'm gone, promise you won't run back to safe and comfortable just because it's easier. Jenna wanted to protest, to explain all the logical reasons this was impossible. Instead, she squeezed Beatrice's hand. I promise I'll be honest about whatever I'm feeling. That's all I can offer. That's everything, dear. Walls coming down that evening, Jenna found Cameron on the beach, staring at the sunset like it held answers. Your grandmother told me the truth, she said, sitting beside him in the sand. About her matchmaking scheme? He didn't sound surprised. I suspected from the beginning. Gran is about as subtle as a freight train. Are you angry? I should be. He turned to look at her, and the vulnerability in his eyes took her breath away. But I'm not, because she was right. About you, about this. About the fact that I've been half-live for 15 years and didn't even realize it.
Cameron.
We barely know each other. I know you sing off-key when you think no one's listening. That you cry during children's books. That you have a gift for making everyone around you feel valued and seen. He moved closer. I know that you're the first person in years who made me want to be present instead of hiding in work. That terrifies me. It terrifies me too. Jenna's voice was barely a whisper. I'm a kindergarten teacher from Chicago. You're a billionaire tech genius. This is a vacation romance that ends when real life starts again? Does it have to? The question hung between them, loaded with possibility and danger. Your grandmother is dying. You're grieving. I'm displaced from my real life. This isn't the foundation for something real. Even as Jenna said it, her heart was screaming the opposite. You're right. Cameron stood, offering his hand to help her up. It's terrible timing. Completely impractical. Doomed to be complicated. Exactly. But she took his hand anyway, so we're in agreement. He didn't let go. This is a bad idea, the worst. Which is why we should be completely logical and practical about it. Absolutely. He kissed her. Soft at first, then deeper, his hands framing her face like she was precious and breakable. Jenna kissed him back, tasting salt and sunset and the promise of something she'd never dared want when they broke apart. Both breathing hard, Cameron rested his forehead against hers. I'm in love with you, he said simply. I know it's fast. I know it's complicated. But it's true. That's really inconvenient. Jenna's eyes were wet. Because I'm falling in love with you too, and I have no idea how to make this work. We'll figure it out. His voice was certain. After Gran, after everything, we'll figure it out because the alternative is walking away, and I'm done running from things that matter. They walked back to the main house hand in hand. Two people who'd found each other in the most unexpected way, with no clear path forward but a certainty that staying apart was no longer possible. Beatrice watched from her window, smiling through tears. Her final gift to her grandson wasn't the business empire or the fortune. It was this. The courage to love again, delivered in the form of a kindergarten teacher with a gift for seeing light in everyone. She had weeks left, maybe days. But she'd done what she needed to do. The rest was up to them. The final days Beatrice declined rapidly over the next week. The medical team set up equipment to keep her comfortable. Hospice nurses rotated shifts. Cameron barely left her side, and Jenna discovered that watching someone grieve was like witnessing a private war between love and loss. Tell me about the children again, Beatrice whispered one afternoon. Her voice was weaker now, each word requiring effort. The girl who wanted to be president? Amara. Jenna held her hand gently. She's organizing her own campaign for class leader. Made badges and everything. Good, the world needs fierce girls. Beatrice smiled. You're teaching them more than letters and numbers. You're teaching them their worth. That's sacred work, Jenna. I'm starting to understand that. Jenna had been reflecting on her life, her choices, the assumption that teaching kindergarten was somehow less important than other careers. For years, I felt like I should want more. Make more money, have a bigger impact. But maybe making 23 children feel valued every single day is enough. It's everything. Beatrice's eyes closed. Cameron needs to understand that too. Success isn't the same as meaning. Cameron entered with fresh flowers, his face showing the strain of watching his last family member slip away. How is she? He asked quietly. Resting. We were talking about what matters most. Jenna stood, kissing Beatrice's forehead. I'll give you time together. Outside, she walked the beach, thinking about the impossible choice forming in her mind. 2 weeks remained in their agreement, but Beatrice might not have 2 weeks. Jenna's substitute was doing well with her class. Her mother's medical bills were manageable for now, thanks to the advance Cameron had provided. She could stay longer. Should stay longer, for Beatrice, for Cameron. But staying meant deepening a connection that had no clear future. Meant falling harder for a man. His world was fundamentally different from hers. Her phone rang. Mrs. Reynolds from Lincoln Elementary. Jenna, I wanted you to hear this from me. The district is offering a promotion. Lead teacher position, curriculum development, significant raise. But they need an answer by Monday. Mrs. Reynolds paused. It's an incredible opportunity. Everything you've worked toward. When would it start? Immediately. Well, after you return. They'd want you in the new role by the start of next semester. After the call, Jenna sat in the sand, head in her hands. The promotion meant stability, career advancement, staying in the world she knew. But it also meant returning to Chicago, to a life that suddenly felt smaller than it had a month ago. 5 minutes to decide, Cameron found her an hour later. Sitting on the dock, feet dangling in the water. Gran wants to see us both. She says she has something important to discuss. His voice was carefully neutral. But Jenna heard the fear underneath. They found Beatrice propped up on pillows, looking more alert than she had in days. The hospice nurse had warned this sometimes happened near the end. A final surge of energy before the body gave up. Sit, both of you. Beatrice gestured to chairs positioned on either side of her bed. I don't have much time, so I'm going to be direct. Gran, you need to rest. Cameron reached for her hand. I'll rest soon enough. Permanently. Her voice was surprisingly firm. Right now, I need to say things while I still can. Jenna, you've given me a gift these past weeks. Not just your time, but your presence, your stories, your light. You help me remember that a life filled with love and small moments matters more than anything else. It's been my honor. Jenna's voice cracked. Cameron. Beatrice turned to her grandson. You've made me proud in countless ways. But you've also become someone I hardly recognize. Buried in work, afraid to connect, treating love like a weakness instead of strength. I'm here, aren't I? I put everything on hold to be with you. Cameron's defensive tone couldn't hide his hurt. You are, and I'm grateful. But what happens after? You return to your empty penthouse, your endless meetings, your carefully controlled life where nothing messy like love can intrude. Beatrice's eyes were fierce. That's not living, darling. That's hiding. This isn't fair. Cameron stood, pacing. You can't use your final days to manipulate me into some predetermined path you've decided is right. You're absolutely correct. I can't. Beatrice smiled. But I can offer you a choice. Both of you. One last time, let's see what 5 minutes of truth reveals. Jenna's stomach dropped. Beatrice, what are you asking? I'm asking what you both really want. Not what's practical, or safe, or logical. What does your heart know that your head is too scared to acknowledge? Beatrice looked between them. Cameron, if you could have any life, what would it look like? Gran, this isn't the time for hypotheticals. Answer the question. Steel beneath the weakness. What do you want? The silence stretched. Cameron stopped pacing, staring out at the ocean. When he finally spoke, his voice was raw. I want a life that matters beyond profit margins and market share. I want someone waiting when I come home who sees me, not my net worth. I want children's paintings on my refrigerator and chaos at dinner and a reason to turn off my phone. He turned to Jenna, eyes bright. I want you. Every day. In whatever form that takes. Jenna's breath caught. Jenna. Beatrice's voice was gentle. Same question. What do you want? I got offered a promotion today. Lead teacher, curriculum development, everything I've worked toward. Jenna's hands twisted in her lap. Stable, secure, in the world I know? That's what you achieved. I asked what you want. Tears spilled over. I want to matter to someone the way I matter to my students. To be chosen, not because I'm practical or convenient, but because I'm me.
Ow.
She looked at Cameron. I want to believe that love can bridge impossible gaps. That a kindergarten teacher and a billionaire can build something real. Then why are you both acting like it's impossible? Beatrice's question hung in the air. Because I leave in 2 weeks. Because our lives don't overlap. Because I'm terrified of giving up everything familiar for something that might not work. Jenna was crying openly now. Because she deserves more than being an addendum to my chaotic life. Because I'll probably mess this up. Because I'm not sure I know how to be what she needs. Cameron's voice was thick with emotion. 5 minutes, Beatrice said softly. That's what I gave you in Chicago, Jenna. You made a choice in 5 minutes that changed all our lives. So here's another 5 minutes. Both of you stop thinking. What does your heart know? The room was silent except for the sound of waves and Beatrice's labored breathing. Jenna stood, crossing to Cameron. I'm terrified. Of losing myself. Of not being enough. Of this being a beautiful mistake. I'm terrified too. He took her hands. Of being the workaholic who destroys something precious. Of not deserving you. Of failing at the one thing that matters most. But, Jenna whispered. But I'd rather fail trying than succeed at a life without you. Cameron's voice was certain. Move in with me. Not on the island in Chicago. Near your school, your students, your mother. I'll set up an office there, reduce travel, build a life that has room for us. That's crazy. You can't reorganize your entire empire because of me. Watch me. I'll hire CEOs, delegate, do whatever it takes. He cupped her face. You've taught me that success means nothing if I'm alone. Let me build something that matters. With you, Jenna looked at Beatrice, whose eyes were streaming tears. What about my promotion? My career? Take it. Keep teaching. I'll support whatever you choose. Cameron's hands were steady on her face. I'm not asking you to give up anything. I'm asking you to let me add to your life, not replace it. 5 minutes is almost up, Beatrice whispered. What's your answer? Jenna thought about her classroom, her students, her small apartment, and smaller dreams. She thought about playing it safe, taking the predictable path, protecting her heart. Then she thought about Cameron reading picture books with surprising enthusiasm. His gentleness with Beatrice. The way he looked at her like she was extraordinary. The terrifying, exhilarating possibility of building something real. Yes, the word came out steady, certain. Yes, to trying. 2, figuring it out together. To being terrified and doing it anyway. Cameron kissed her like she was oxygen, and Beatrice smiled through tears. Good, that's good. Her voice was fading. Love isn't about perfect circumstances. It's about perfect commitment to imperfect people. You two will fight and struggle and doubt. But you'll also build something beautiful. Rest now, Gran. Cameron knelt by her bed. We've got it from here. I know you do. Beatrice's eyes closed. I can rest now. 2 years later, the kindergarten classroom at Lincoln Elementary buzzed with its usual chaos. 23 new faces, 23 new personalities to learn and love. Miss Morrison, when is Mr. Cameron coming? Amara's little sister, now in Jenna's class, bounced excitedly. And remember, we need to be on our best behavior for our special visitor. Jenna smiled. Organizing materials for their afternoon project. The door opened and Cameron entered, somehow managing to look both professional and approachable in casual clothes. 2 years, and her heart still flipped when she saw him. Good afternoon, friends. His voice carried natural authority, tempered with warmth. "Who's ready to learn about coding?" 23 hands shot up. Cameron had started a program bringing technology education to underfunded schools. He spent 2 afternoons a week teaching, and somehow made binary code fascinating to 5-year-olds. Jenna watched him crouch next to a struggling student, patiently explaining, and felt overwhelming gratitude. He'd kept every promise. Moved his base to Chicago, reduced travel, built a life that balanced success with presence. They lived in a brownstone near her mother, close enough to the school that Jenna could walk. The refrigerator was indeed covered in children's art. Dinner was often chaotic. His phone stayed in his office after 6. It wasn't perfect. They fought about his tendency to overschedule. She struggled with feeling inadequate around his wealthy friends. But they fought fair and chose each other daily. After class, walking home hand in hand, Cameron pulled her close. "I have something to tell you." Jenna's heart skipped. "Good or bad?" "Good, great, actually." He stopped walking, turning to face her. "Remember the education foundation we started in Grand's name? The one providing arts funding to public schools. Of course, it's expanding nationally. We're funding full-time arts teachers in 50 schools next year." His eyes were bright with excitement. "And I need a director. Someone who understands education, children, what really matters in a classroom." "Cameron, that's incredible. Who are you considering?" "You." He squeezed her hands. "Take the weekend to think about it. It's a big change. More responsibility, travel, all of it. But you'd be changing thousands of children's lives, not just 23 at a time." Jenna stared at him, emotions warring. "I love my classroom. My students. And if teaching is where you're meant to be, I support that completely." He brushed her hair back. "But Jenna, you have a gift for seeing what children need. Imagine scaling that impact." That evening, sitting on their porch with wine and sunset, Jenna thought about Beatrice's words. About what mattered most. About the difference between safe choices and brave ones. Her phone buzzed. A video from one of the schools already in the program. Children painting, singing, discovering creativity they'd never had access to before. A little girl who reminded her of Amara, face glowing with joy. 5 minutes, she said suddenly. Cameron looked confused. "What?" "Your grandmother taught me that hearts know things faster than heads. So give me 5 minutes." Jenna closed her eyes, breathing deeply. Listening to the wisdom beneath fear, she thought about 23 students versus thousands. About the promotion she'd accepted 2 years ago that led to exactly where she was now. About Beatrice saying her work was sacred. All of it was sacred. Teaching in a classroom, directing a foundation, loving a man who saw her value. The sacred part wasn't the specific form. It was the intention behind it. Yes, she opened her eyes. Yes to the foundation. To scaling impact. To the next adventure? Cameron pulled her close. "You're sure?" "I'm terrified, but I'm sure." She kissed him. Beatrice would approve. She absolutely would. He held her tighter. She'd also approve of this. Pulled out a small box. Inside was a ring with a sapphire the color of Maldives water, surrounded by small diamonds. Was going to wait until the weekend, make it romantic and perfect. But Gran taught me that the right moment is when your heart knows. Cameron's voice shook slightly. "Jenna Morrison, you saved my life without knowing it needed saving. Will you marry me?" Jenna laughed through tears. "Do I get 5 minutes to think about it?" "If you need them, I don't." She held out her hand. "Yes, always yes." As he slipped the ring on her finger, Jenna thought about a news story, a dying woman's wish, and a 5-minute decision that seemed insane at the time. Sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is say yes when logic screams no. Sometimes love requires leaping before you're ready. Sometimes a kindergarten teacher and a billionaire can build something extraordinary. Somewhere. Jenna liked to think Beatrice was smiling. The sunset painted their porch in gold. And Jenna leaned into the man she'd chosen, the life they'd built, the beautiful uncertainty of their future. 5 minutes can change everything. You just have to be brave enough to let it.